Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. My name is Kevin, Kevin in all caps, youtube.com/at Kevin 24/7. Hope you're all having an amazing and fantastic day. And I want to share with you some information, a useful and helpful tool that I use on a regular basis. Questions, comments, concerns coming in through Instagram, DMs, Patreon, link down in the description, emails asking, how do I prepare a budget? More importantly, with the changes that are occurring in the economy, new deadlines and dates being announced for massive changes to those on tighter budgets or should be on tighter budgets, fixed income, lower income, potential candidates for interruptions in their job, their career, or quite possibly even payments made by the government through the U.S. Treasury. Social Security, fixed income. If you don't have a budget, you might want to consider beginning to create a budget. Now, there are a variety of methods that can be used in creating budgets. There are a variety of apps that you could download for free or at a cost to track your budgets, to track your income and your expenses, what's coming in, what's going out. I'm actually going to walk you through my own. We'll use some examples, numbers here to fill in the gaps, and your expenses are going to ultimately start with your income. And then we're going to go through housing. We're going to go through, rent or mortgage, utilities, these expenses that calculate up groceries, insurance, cell phones, credit cards, etc. Now, with that being said, the budget theoretically should, when it's all said and done, equal zero. And this is what's called a zero-sum budget. Granted, you may have to adjust this monthly with the changes and fluctuations in your income and the costs, expenses, your overhead. Mine's going to be a little bit odd, a little bit unique. If you are a W-2 employee, full-time, part-time employee, and have pretty consistent hours, a set salary, then it may be a little bit more simplified. Because of the nature of my businesses and how I receive my sources of income, my revenues, it fluctuates, it changes. But we're gonna throw some numbers in here. Inversely, these numbers should potentially end up looking something like 50-30-20. And the 50-30-20 budgeting is basically 50% towards your needs. These are the must-haves. These are necessities: food, water, shelter, insurance, healthcare, transportation, education. 30% being wants. 20% being savings. Now, depending on your personal situation currently and projections for the future, your plans, your goals, anything that you have written down on paper, in a book, your journal, manifestations, speak them into action or even type them. I like to control mine digitally using Google Docs or Microsoft OneNote. However it may be, this may change your 30% wants and 20% savings to 30% savings, 20% wants, or 40-10, or 50-50 as far as 50% needs and 50% savings. Depending on your current situation, the state of the economy, your income, the stability of your job, your career, your age, your risk tolerance, etc., etc. Now, as I said, you can do this. This is just a simple Google Doc. If you guys want to know which one I use, just let me know. Google Doc or Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, and oftentimes they kind of like work together, so you can go back and forth. I like the Google Doc because I can access it from my smartphone, from my Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. You can access it from your iPhone 14 Pro Max, whatever you're using, Google Pixel, doesn't matter. Or you can access it from a computer, but basically anywhere that has an internet connection, you can log into your Google account and gain access to your budget, which could be very helpful, very useful. So you can make real-time adjustments. Now, with that being said, I'm going to plug in some numbers here. As I said, we want it to ultimately end up at zero sum budget. But zero doesn't mean anything bad. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means that we've accounted for every dollar coming in and every dollar going out. Even if we don't really know where that dollar going out is going to go specifically, we've accounted for it. And that's what's going to be most important here. So let's just start off with a quick discussion or rundown of how we come to an income number. Because ultimately, the challenges that I may face in estimating this number include the fact that I am self-employed. I don't have a job per se, as in the normal, typical sense. My income can fluctuate. It can be high one month, it can be higher, it can be lower. Like, it just depends. It varies. Depends on the season, depends on the time of the, or how much time I put into what I do, the returns that I'm getting, or maybe the projects that I'm working on that may change the revenue, which most of my revenue ends up being profit. But at the end of the day, the number is not a constant. But with that being said, my actual income that I see isn't true income, because I then have to account for taxes that have to be paid. The IRS wants their money. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But at the same time, my taxes are only going to be based on my net income, not my gross revenue or gross profit. It's actually the net. And that's after expenses. And that is quite possibly the best thing about running your own business, but something very important, because this is what is considered tax planning. When we talk about tax planning and tax shelters, I mean, these are the things that are a game changer in actually keeping more of the money that you work for. Big deal. The last thing you want to do is work really hard, be rewarded for your efforts, make a lot of money, and then ultimately, inherently, give most of that money away to the IRS. Me, personally, I would rather hang on to that money and reinvest it into my business, allowing me to continuously make more and more and more, continuously reinvest, and continuously spread it amongst the community as best possible, rather than just giving it to Uncle Sam. Lord knows what he's going to do with it. But either way, we're just going to throw in, I don't know. We'll go with a low number. We'll say 18,000 for the month. We'll put that into the income line. And so ultimately what the plan is, the goal is to, after we're all said and done, get down to zero. So we're going to start off with the housing. And currently we are renting. I'm sitting here on my apartment patio. We actually just got back. We just finished driving from Atlanta back to Florida. And for the time being, we're going to be in this apartment for a few more months and potentially look to move and purchase a home. Odds are, if that were to happen, that home would probably change the housing from $3,760 a month to probably more like $5,000, maybe $6,000 a month. We are in a relatively higher price market here, and with the current home price values and the current mortgage interest rates, this is kind of where we fall, kind of where we're comfortable paying as well, because obviously we could pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month depending on what we chose, but that's where we want to end up, more or less. Now, I do have on my list here to bring you guys a video on purchasing property and financing property, or getting a mortgage, or even owner financing, or the other options that are available. If you guys want to see that video, go ahead and smash that like button and comment down below. Let me know. If there's enough interest, I'll go ahead and make that video as soon as possible. So then from there, we're going to go into utilities. These are rough numbers here. For the most part, I think our utilities are around $325 a month. So that's electricity, water, and trash or whatever, cable, internet. And I think that's about it. We don't have gas here. Groceries is what's next. This is a template that was provided by Microsoft Excel. So next on the list is the groceries. And Michelle likes to buy organic. She's going to Whole Foods and she's picking up organic eggs and meat, and she's trying to look out for our health as best possible. So we're going to put groceries in at $1,200 for the month. And insurance. Now the insurance category is going to, actually I need to adjust this insurance category to include our own insurance, because I've got auto insurance on here. So we're going to adjust this to include our personal health insurance as well as auto. Because since we are self-employed, we don't have the benefits provided by an employer, so we buy our own health insurance. We buy our own medical and dental insurance. So medical, dental, vision, auto, which includes my car, her Jeep, and the RV, the Mercedes Sprinter, the American Coach Patriot. Looking forward to full-time van life for the summer. But all those included, $1,695. So $1,695 for all insurance goes in that category. And this is super simple, super easy, because it just adds it up for you. It calculates it for you, and it does the math. And it's just super easy, super simple to get to zero. And I'll show you exactly how in just a moment. Next on the list is our phones. So our phones is actually around 420. These numbers are rounded. I'm not going to put the exact number to the decimal, to the tenths place, or to the ones place, because this is close enough. I'm not going to lose dollars chasing pennies, splitting hairs here, okay? So 420, that's my phone, that's her phone, but it's also our mom's phones, and I think 2 iPads with service. So we're at $420 a month. And then the credit cards is actually $3,800 a month on credit cards on average. You know, this is all average. These numbers can fluctuate because the income is at $18,000, and that could change any given month. It could be less. It could be more. It could be $30,000 a month. Who knows? It could be $10,000 a month. It varies. Annually, we kind of know where we'll end up, but every month it just kind of fluctuates, and I'll explain that in just a moment. So school is listed on here as well, and so I'm plugging in $1,500 a month for school, because I still got to pay my student loans. So $1,500 for school, and savings, internet, and savings, entertainment, and other. So the entertainment, actually, let me backtrack. Credit cards, savings, entertainment, others. So credit cards and entertainment is kind of a weird number there. Credit cards is $3,800. Entertainment is $1,200. But at the end of the day, this actually falls into some categories of our businesses because of the purchases made on credit cards, and some of which being entertainment, we include in the content that we create, which ultimately ends up being a business expense and a write-off. Therefore, it reduces our net income, because these are costs. These are costs associated with doing business that allow us to create content and produce revenue. So we have, $3,800 on credit cards. We got $1,200, so that's $5,000 a month. But those are mainly business expenses, because we really don't buy much for ourselves. So these are mainly business expenses that we then are reimbursed by the company, by the business. If you guys want to know more about that, by all means, let me know. Drop a comment. And then we have we got an army of scooters riding around over here. So anyway, then we get to other. We'll go to other before we get to savings. Other is $500. Other is just random, okay? And so what we did here was the savings ultimately ended up being 20% of the income. So 18,000 a month, 20% of that, we got 36. We go ahead and plug that in savings. Super simple, super easy. And then we fluctuate that other category with the 500. So when it's all said and done, income, we got our income, and then we subtract and deduct our housing, our utilities, our groceries, our insurance, our phones, our credit cards, our school, our savings, our entertainment, our other. That wipes it out. We're at zero. And that's exactly what I was talking about with a zero-sum budget. Now, we want to know exactly where the money is going before it goes, but in a category like credit cards, entertainment, and other, we don't know exactly where that's going. Now, housing, we know where that's going. We know exactly who we owe that money to. Utilities, the same way. Granted, utilities may fluctuate depending on the season and how much we run the air conditioner or the heat or whatever it may be. How many clothes Michelle's washing in the washing machine, because we're going to the beach and we're trying to get all the sand off of us all the time. Then the groceries may fluctuate too, depending on if we're here or if we're not, because if we're not, then we're probably eating out more often, which means our grocery bill would be a little bit lower, but then our entertainment bill may be a little bit higher. Meanwhile, our grocery bill may actually go up some if we're traveling, full-time van life, living in a van, because we're going to be buying as we go, and the storage situation, the pantry and the refrigerator in the van isn't very large. So oftentimes we're buying fresh, we're buying organic, and we're buying for smaller quantities, which ends up costing more, which is weird. It's odd how that works. And then also on our travels, we typically try to find local producers, local farmers, and support them. And we just pay a little bit extra for that, but it's okay. And then the other category, we just fill in the blank. That other is a cushion. The other could be an emergency. The other could be something we didn't think about. But at the end of the day, what we want to do is we don't want to exceed that $500 on the other category. If anything, we want to try to stay below that and have a deficit. Therefore, we have a surplus in our budget. And then the following month, we can maybe drop the other down to 400 and bump the savings up to 3,700. Or, move the numbers around so at the end of the day, we have a zero sum. But we also try not to exceed the values that we have set in each category, because after you set the budget, you're going to want to monitor the budget and try to stay within the budget. We don't want to set a category of entertainment at $1,200 and go over that and spend $5,000, because then the budget's blown. But if we did do that, then maybe we need to look and see, all right, well, where can we pull $3,800 from somewhere else to bring it back in check and get back to that zero? Now, granted, some may say, you know what, I want to modify this, wipe out the entertainment and wipe out the credit cards. Let's just go straight to savings and let's bump that number up. If we're going to go 50% savings, then we're going to put $9,000 a month away for savings. Now, granted, depending on what your monthly expenses are, maybe you want to have 3 to 6, maybe 9 months of those expenses covered in savings. But after that, then we should be looking towards putting money into investments and other cash flow producing assets and other diverse income stream opportunities. And we can make that happen. We can add fields, we can add lines, we can add values. But at the end of the day, we need to have this budget, and we need to set the budget, and we need to monitor the budget, and every month we need to tweak the budget. And while doing that, finding ways to reduce and save money as best we can, and also increase income as much as possible. This was just a quick, simple rundown example sharing with you how it's done, how I do it, how simple and easy it can be, and how you guys can do the same.